right. Hopefully I'll get through this. It's been stopping on me a few times. You'll see writing on here. But here's our goal. This should be the easiest of all the videos to get through. There's one kind of tricky part, but in general, it's taking roots they give us and using those roots to write factors, with one kind of caveat that you haven't played around with yet. We're dealing with different types of root, complex roots, and we also have irrational roots. So let's just talk about a complex root again. A complex root is a root in which the solution has an imaginary number, a real part and imaginary part. So we'll notice that this real part plus 14i imaginary part and 2 minus 14i can be written as 2 plus or minus, right? We can put them together. And irrational roots have radicals in them that are not perfect squares. The square root is 7. We don't know that. So again, 1 plus rad 7 and 1 minus rad 7 can be written as 1 plus or minus rad 7. And as you study algebra, you start noticing that these things always occur in pairs. If there is a 1 plus rad 7, there is always a 1 minus rad 7. And here's the theorem that says it, right? It says irrational root theorem says if you have a real number plus an irrational number plus b rad c, you're always going to have a minus b rad c. They always occur in pairs. And if you have a imaginary number, a plus bi, you'll always have an a minus bi. And that's important because sometimes you'll only know one of them, and you have to assume the others. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to hope this video doesn't stop on me before I'm done. But they give us these known roots, and they're saying, hey, write a polynomial function in standard form to the least degree with a leading coefficient of 1 given these zeros. So if I have a 0, 5, you know that to turn a 0 into a factor, you just put x minus in front. So my factor for this is x minus 5. Now, if they give you a 0 of 3 plus 2 rad 7, it is a pair. You have to assume there's another one of 3 minus 2 rad 7. All right? So again, all you do is you put x minus in front of them. So I got x minus, and let's put it 3 plus 2 rad 7. All right? And then we say x minus 3 minus 2 rad 7. All right? And there I have my pair of irrational roots, right? That's generally called a conjugate pair. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So let's keep my x minus 5, and I'm going to distribute this negative. So I get x minus 3 minus 2 rad 7 right there. All right. I'm going to distribute this negative too, and I'm going to get x, distribute that through, minus 3 plus 2 rad 7. And now, this isn't crazy hard, but it's a little bit, you got to distribute through. So I go x times x, which gives me x squared. I go x times negative 3, which gives me negative 3x, and x times 2 rad 7, all right? Which I'm gonna go ahead and say 2 rad 7x, and I go the same thing through here. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Negative 3 times 2 rad 7 is negative 6 rad 7. Alright. And now we're going to distribute the last one. Negative 2 rad 7 times x is negative 2 rad 7x. Negative 2 rad 7 times negative 3 is positive 6 rad 7. And our last one, negative 2 times 2 rad 7. So that's going to be, so let's do that over here. Negative 2 rad 7 times 2 rad 7, right, which gives me negative 4, and rad 7 times rad 7 is rad 49, or just 7. So what I'm going to get here is I'm going to get a negative 28. All right. So that's one really long factor that we're going to go ahead and hopefully cancel a lot of stuff out. You can notice the rads kind of cancel out. Look, I've got a 2 rad 7x here, and that gets rid of negative 2 rad 7x. And the negative 6 rad 7 cancels out with a positive 6 rad 7. And let's see what we got. So I'm going to keep my x minus 5 there. I'm going to underline this as x squared. Negative 3x and negative 3x. I don't see any other x's. Make negative 6x. And 9 and negative 28 well, those add up to negative 19. I think I've dealt with everything. We're going to go one further. We're going to distribute in here. So let's put it all together. It's supposed to be in standard form. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 6x is negative 6x squared. X times negative 19 is negative 19x. Let's keep going. Negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 6x is positive 30x. And negative 5 times negative 19 is positive, what is that, 95? 95. All right. So let's combine like terms. It looks like f of x in my final standard form is equal to x cubed. Looks like I've got an x squared and an x squared here for a negative 11x squared. Got a negative 19x and a positive 30x. That should make positive 11x. And plus 95 for my final standard form. All right. So the next page has a couple more. I'm going to do one. So let's go ahead and try this top one. I'm going to leave the last one for you, and I could very well check it. So here's my roots. So we got 2 real and 1 imaginary. Remember, imaginary numbers always come in pairs, so I'm going to have a minus 2i as well. So those are our roots. Let's write our factors. So we'll say f of x is equal to, that gives me a root of 6 gives me a factor of x minus 6. A root of negative 1 gives me a factor of x plus 1. A root of 2i gives me x minus 2i. And a root of negative 2i gives me x plus 2i. Right? And I think we're good. So I'm going to do these separately. I'm going to distribute here and get x squared. I've got a positive x and a negative 6x for negative 5x. And a negative 6 times 1 gives me negative 6. I'm going to take a little more time on this guy. Right? X times x is x squared. X times 2i is positive 2ix. Negative 2ix, right? If I do that next one, negative 2ix. And this is negative 4i squared. We can see these two cancel out. And I know I squared is negative 1, so that's really a plus 4. So we're going to write this as x squared minus 5x minus 6 times, this simplifies to x squared plus 4. All right, and let's distribute through. So here we go. This times this is x to the 4th. This times this is 4x squared. This times this is negative 5x cubed. Here to here is negative 20x. The 6 to here is negative 6x squared. The 6, or negative 6 to there, is negative 24. So let's go ahead and simplify this. We'll write it as f of x and see if we can get it in one swoop here. So this right here is my x to the 4th. And I've got a cube here. I don't see any other cubes, so we're going to write that as negative 5x cubed. I've got 4x squared here and negative 6x squared here, so that should be negative 2x squared. So I've got a negative 20x and a negative 24. I'm going to just write the factors here, and I'm going to let you work through this. All right. So remember, if it says 1 minus I, it's going to be 1 plus I, right? And here's our factors. So I'm going to get a factor of x minus 2, right? X minus 3, and this is a little tougher. This one's going to be x minus, and then 1 minus I, and x minus in front of that. So x minus 1 plus I, and we're going to stop. I'd like you to try FOIL that out. We'll see what you got, and that's the end of our videos. I think we're done. I don't think there's a page 6. Watch me be wrong, and if so, I'll make another video and it'll be up there. But I think we're through this. All right. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and look forward to talking to you about this.